So once your multiple coats of gesso are dry, we now need to abrade it down. And our objective is to get as smooth as possible. And it's almost, you have to feel how smooth this is. If you've felt the surface of a new automobile, it's 10 times smoother than that. It's absolutely astonishing. That with the rabbit skin glue combination of whiting, it gets super, super smooth. So to achieve that, we're going to use abrasive papers. This is a Klingspor variety, wet dry paper, and we're going to start with 220 and go to 1,000. Again, for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration just with the 220. And you could try this dry. If your paper tends to load up too much, you could use water. And I'd fold it in, cut your paper in quarters like this, and then fold it in quarters. And with a light touch, try and even out all the inconsistencies by abrading the surface. You can do circular motions, but finish up using straight motions with the direction of the carving. This is a horn, so I don't want to go cross motions or circular. In the end, I want to do finishing up following the length of the horn. And you can feel it's building up a little bit in the paper, but it's not overbearing. The paper is still cutting. So when we have to shift into water mode, by putting a few drops of water on this, it's going to start to soften this. It'll sand better, but we run the risk of pulling it all off. So the more you can sand with a dry application, the better. So again, with a very light touch, trying to roll and to smooth and get all the inconsistencies of the carving out underneath. So we're actually forming a bridge of this plaster material over the carving where the carver didn't do such a good job. And he's not supposed to. He's supposed to give us a basic background. And we continue this until we feel that we're not going to go through, and then we go to the subsequent finer grits, up to 1,000 grit. Okay. Now we're going to come over here. You want me to shift this to the center, or are you okay?
It will be better if we come over to the middle a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Caesar or Reuben?
Reuben. We'll just throw it out in the box, I guess we're done with that.
Okay.
And then the sandpaper too.
In the same box?
Yeah, same box is great. Oh, that's good. That thing I carved there, that guy, yeah. That would be great. Or not even carve that, that'd be great. So whatever. Can we get the cash? Can you make it? Oh.
No, I'm gonna put it on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any
Carol's
notes?
making the. Where's the moolah money? Carol.
Just for hers.
No, for everybody.
Really?
The NAWCC is gonna take care of it.
Okay,
That's good.
Is that good? So you're hitting right here.
Yeah.
thank you.
I have to look across
And
it
the
to see the,
NAWCC,
I look
you're
down,
volunteering
it's
your
just a
time.
sheet of white.
Okay, really?
I look across it to see the
It's
relief and
Okay, okay.
I don't have
It's
a
online
choice.
course expense.
Thank you.
Okay, you ready? We're gonna get quiet.
Yeah.
You good?
ready.
Okay. I just want to mention this. This is not going to be included anywhere beyond the scope of the next minute or so, but will be covered in the week-long course. Only in France, what they've done is they do something called recutting at this point, when the gesso has been sanded. And we're going to use this as an example. Again, this is the flower that I cast in resin. Just hypothetically, just for let's just consider this is really in wood. This is a wood piece. As you continually put your 6 coats, 8, 12 coats of gesso, you lose the detail. So the French developed this in the 16th century. They developed a whole series of about 40 different cutting tools, different tips that are cut on the pull by pulling. So you have to go back and almost engrave or redetail the plaster or gesso where it's filled in all the wood carving areas. Okay, so it's called recutting. And in France, there's a separate genre of artisan who is just a recutter. You have a gilder that supposedly does the whole frame. He takes the frame or the clock component, the furniture component, to the recutter. He recuts, it comes back to the gilder for putting the bowl on, which will be our next step. But when you have something very intricate like this, it needs to be cleaned up, detailed, or re-engraved into the plaster. Now what we have here is a sample board that when I was in Paris, or what I still use today here, when I'm trying to get the feel of the actual cutting or carving tool, the plaster carving tool, and it's held as such, and there are small motions like this, flecky motions. And it's very different from a wood carving tool which is pushed into the wood. This is pulled with a circular motion, with a lot of pressure. And this board, I don't know if we can pan down to see this, the entire surface, I'm showing leaves here that have been cut out and cleaned out. Here's a flower and a lot of cross hatching, which you'll find in a lot of ornamentation, which is used on clocks and furniture. So this is all achieved using different styles of tools. And again, there's about 40 that have been developed in France. So this is a technique just indigenous to France, and it will be used in our week-long program.